So welcome to hashtag AskATC, episode 14. Gosh, we're up to 14 already. In this episode, we're going to talk about lost time injuries. What are they, and what's the cost about them, and how you can avoid them. So I brought ATC Midwest specialist, our safety man himself, John Regan. So John, talk to us about lost time
injuries. Okay, well, a lost time injury, it's a statistical thing, really. It comes from workers' comp data, and it's classed as either it's a permanent disability, a death, unfortunately, or where a person loses a complete day's work or a complete shift's work. That's a lost time injury, and that's a very important figure.
All right. So when you think about workplace injury and disease recording standards from Australia, these are published standards for Australia?
Comes from the Australian standard, yeah. Yep. So it's a defined thing, and it's something that people has a value. So they say, what is your lost time injury frequency rate? What is your lost time injury? How many lost time injury days have you had?
Okay, and so these are very obviously closely monitored statistics, but how do those statistics impact your organization?
Well, what happens is, if you have direct employees that they're employed by you, and they suffer a workplace injury and it's compensable, then that becomes a lost time injury as soon as you lose one shift or one day.
Yep.
So when you're applying for tenders and when you're applying to banks and when you're talking with insurance companies about what your premiums are going to be, then they will look at those lost time injury figures. They'll ask you for your figures, and you'll have to provide those. So if your figures are high, that may have a direct monetary impact on you. The other thing to remember, though, is a lot of companies don't employ people directly, but they may employ someone through a subcontracting relationship or through a group training relationship. Yep. Or you may have a builder that doesn't actually employ any people other than the people that are on his staff, his admin staff. Now, you can't be complacent about that. You can't say to yourself, oh, I'm distanced from that, because here's a little trick. I don't have to declare my lost time injuries because that's my contractors, that's my employees. But guess what? The system's a little smarter than that.
Yes.
And what's happening in safety is that safety expectations evolve, and cultural and community expectations evolve and change over time. Now, one of the very key concepts that's evolving in safety is that you're not just responsible for the safety of your own employees or workers.
Right.
You're responsible for a whole heap of other people whenever you're carrying out a business, particularly over those matters over which you exercise control.
Wow.
So that means that this person may not be your employee, they may be the employee of a contractor. But you know what? If you tender for a state or a federal government tender, and they ask you a question, what's your lost time injury frequency rate? And you turn around and say no, then they'll ask you another question. I'll say, okay, for the contractors that you employ, what's their lost time injury rates?
Right.
Okay, so it'll come back to bite you.
Right.
So you can't ignore it. It's an important statistic.
All right. So what can we do, as ATC Midwest, as an apprentice trainee services provider, for our clients? What advice would you have for organizations about, we talk about avoiding them. I mean, obviously from a safe practices and things like that, but handling. I guess more so, how do you handle incidents or injuries to avoid them becoming LTIs?
Okay. Well, look, if you have our expertise, for instance, or you're experienced in this area, it is very simple to reduce the amount of lost time injuries that you actually incur, or to completely eliminate them within the rules and within the bounds of ethics, and looking after the best interest of your employees and other people who are injured. You can still avoid a lost time injury by using some very simple methods. And one of those things is to make sure that you're involved in the process, so that you can tell the treating doctor whose only concern is the patient. And that's right too. It should only be. But you're able to tell the doctor, hey, we've got administrative duties that this person can do. We've got light duties that this person can do. And if you're not involved in that process, the doctor, rightly so, may put down that this person's totally unfit for work. And when they do that, guess what? You've just had an LTI.
Yeah. So they're unfit for work in the sense of the terms of what they were doing.
Exactly.
Not that there are capabilities to do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
They may have some, what's going to, that person, instead of being laid up and resting, which still is an important process, but they can still contribute and feel good about themselves, and that they can still do something. They're of more value than just what they were doing.
It's another very important concept that's becoming more and more prevalent in injury management. It's well known, well established that employees who are away from the workplace for extended periods on workers' compensation, the longer they're away, the less is the chances that they're going to come back into that workplace. And sometimes some injured employees don't ever come back to the workplace. It's very well established that employees, they heal better, they heal quicker with less adverse outcomes.
Yep.
The sooner that you can get them engaged within the bounds of their medical capabilities,
Yep.
of course, but as soon as you can get them engaged in the workplace again,
Yep.
in some capacity, it's the old get out of bed in the morning and brush your teeth, put on your clothes.
Yep.
They might come to work for 1 hour, and then they go home, and then the next morning they get up and they put on their clothes and they brush their teeth. They're engaged in work. They're still active.
They've got a reason to get up in the morning.
Exactly, and that's just as important as allowing an injury to heal.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at how the human mind works, if it has a reason to get up in the morning and a reason to do something, then it will do everything in its power to, the healing the body process, to say, hey, I need to get better, I need to, so I can get up and go to work, and next week go for 2 hours, or next go for, whatever it is to progressively get me back to doing what I love doing, which was what I was doing before this incident happened.
Exactly, yeah. So the way the medical and the workers' compensation system looks at it now, there's been a change, and instead of looking at restricted duties, now they're looking at certificates of capacity.
Yeah.
So now the thinking is, okay, what capacity does this person have to work? And that's where we can come in. We have
Right.
a whole system based around that, and that's why we say we guarantee you, absolutely guarantee you. I've got no problem guaranteeing you that we can either significantly reduce or completely eliminate lost time injuries.
Right. So there you go. There's a lot of information there about lost time injuries, certainly how to handle them, how to deal with them once they've happened, how to avoid them. Really appreciate your insights on this, John. And once again, partnering with an organization like ATC, or Apprentice and Trainee Services Provider, is really critical to helping you do that, because we take on that workload, we manage all that, so you can stay focused on keeping the other people in your workplace safe and doing what you do best, and then we can manage that through our processes and things like that.
But
right?
what happens to prevent us from doing that, Dave?
No. Tell me, John, what prevents us?
What prevents us is when we don't know.
Right.
We need people to call us.
We don't know what we don't know.
That's right. So if you have a workplace injury in your workplace and we're looking after you, you're one of our clients.
Yep.
If you don't call us,
Yeah.
we can't help you.
That's right.
You need to call us. You need to let us know. Look after the person. Make sure they're right. Make sure they're getting
Yep.
medical treatment. Very next call, call
ATC.
ATC.
Right? So you heard that. Make sure you take care of the person first, which is absolutely critical. Make sure that person is safe and stabilized. And then the very next phone call is to ATC, so that we can get in there and help you manage the process. And
Their call to make
effectively.
Yeah. That's what we say. It's their call to make the call.
That's right. So you heard it. It's your call to make the call, 9923-1400. We'll also put John's mobile number up here. You'll get lots of phone calls. Thank you very much, and thanks for sharing that information with us, John. So if you want more information about LTIs, just give us a call, and how to manage it, how to handle it, even anything to do with safety in your business, or apprentices and trainees and managing those. Please don't hesitate to give us a call, because we do really care. Safety is our number one core value, and we're here to help organizations with not only education, processes, tools, materials, you name it, and care, so that everyone can get back to work and also go home to their families safe, everything intact.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for another great episode of #AskATC, and good to have some of the brains join us for some of these for a change, rather than just listen to me ramble on. So again, John, thanks for that, mate. So much wisdom in one spot. Look forward to seeing you on the next episode. #AskATC.